zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me.
Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wish you a very happy and dry Thursday morning over here from a very rainy Helsinki, Finland. Anyways, we've got plenty to talk about on good old Bitcoin today. Once again, the ranges have been met and things are looking like we might actually even see some nice price action moving during this video. If not, then perhaps during the Twitch stream later, which I will be doing a Twitch stream later at sometime around 8 or 9 a.m. Eastern time start time. And yeah, just the thing with the whole Twitch streams is been really cool. As to me, it's a lot more relatable to what trading actually is, which is a lot of waiting around, just waiting for levels to be hit, alerts to be sounded, and then positions to be taken. And in between that time, I found that it's best to busy myself with doing a little bit of gaming. So feel free to head on over there. The link's in the description below, of course. And of course, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that it's also understood that, gaming is kind of at the forefront of that venue. And then analysis in between sessions, but been really cool. And on top of that, I want to also say that the Krown trading application is now live, as we've been saying for the last week or so. Head on over to app.crowntrading.net to obtain it. It is 100% free, and more importantly, it's going to be built out over this next month of action. So right now it's quite basic, but you can expect that with each and every passing week, there's going to be more and more features added. And with that said, I think it's time to wish you well. I think it's time to wish you the best and the haps, because why fucking not, man? Why fucking not, man? It's free to wish people well, and well, it's probably better. It's definitely better than wishing people poorly, right? Anyways, let's get on over into the live stream right over here. I'm gonna press that button, and I will see you in there. In Bitcoin, crikey, mate, in his natural habitat, looking like he wants to have a little bit of price action up to the upside here, and pretty damn good pullback that we saw in the last 24 hours since we last spoke. Really, it feels like fucking Steve Irwin right now, and that's kind of led us up to a very simplistic but worthwhile play right here, as Bitcoin kind of consolidates at a higher level, coming off that breakage and confirmation of a breakage of the white 200 simple over the last couple days. Anyways, more importantly right here, just a very simplistic trading style. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but in this sort of consolidation right here, I believe that if we do take out the top side of yesterday's dildo at 94.40ish region, and I think that's probably consistent amongst most major exchanges. That's a bit Mexico stamp. We got 94.40ish, or sorry, that was GDAX got 94.40. So I'm just gonna guess. I'm just gonna make a assumption here that it's they're all around 94.40ish region. If it even just ticks above, doesn't even really even need to close above, I would be looking for continuation to the upside towards our next targeted area around that around yesterday's targeted blue box, right around here, right around 9550 to 9600ish region, of which I would look for a nice pullback off that region. It is also kind of lining up with the lower time frames, as we start off with the lower time frames today with this sort of broadening wedge. Do you want to call it a bull flag? Do you want to call it a broadening wedge? Well, I would say the more conservative way of looking at this is certainly a broadening wedge right here, and it would imply a target right at the lower end of that blue box territory at about 9550, assuming that it does get confirmed, which at this point in time, I would say that confirmation is either going to be had with a 4-hour total close above about 9400, or even just taking above 9440. Of course, as always, when waiting for closures or waiting for ticks above, closures are going to be more confidence inducing over time, but you might miss a little bit more of the move. So it's always a give and a take. It's always a trade-off, as I know that's a pretty damn common question. Anyway, since we last spoke, we did test the lower blue box that we spoke about from yesterday, and this is again why going level from level, a very simplistic trading style, is so fucking powerful in these sorts of moves. I know a lot of people want to be calling divergence plays. I know a lot of people want to be calling the top, so to speak, but realistically, I've seen a shit ton more people go broke trying to call tops than I have, or bottoms for that matter, than just trading with the trend. In this case right here, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend, and the trend May the trend even be with you as well, my friends. And looking at this right here, you can see that the 4-hour all time frames basically up to a daily, or sorry, basically up to a weekly are in an uptrend. The weekly, the only one that is kind of the odd man out. And right now, it kind of looks a little bit more like a technicality, as the weekly will be in an uptrend confirmed if we can get this next closure above that 95.50ish region coming in from our October highs right around here. So that is all, of course, a little bit more downstream effects. So today, like I said, I want to focus a little bit more on the lower time frames. And what I can say right here is that yes, there is bearish divergence present, of course. that we looked at right around here. 4 hours showing a little bit slightly lower high as price action makes higher highs. But what I would expect is we're probably going to put in a third divergence, and I wouldn't really be looking for that divergence play, so to speak, to play out. I mean, technically, you could say that it did play out because you got a signal at about 9,400, comes all the way down to about 92. That's a $200 play. That's a decent move. It's 2-3% move at this price point, so very much tradable. But more importantly, I wouldn't look for like that major move that I think a lot of people are really looking for until we really take out this blue box territory to the downside here. And even at that point, getting bearish on this chart right now is a little bit more difficult. I'm not really bearish from a medium time frame perspective as long as we are above the white 200 simple, which is, by the way, flattening out as we speak. So with each and every close above this 8,900 pivot right here, the last prior breakout essentially, this will start to curl around. So, a strong finish over the next couple of days probably does put it back into flat and then upwards territory. More importantly, on top of that, we do see that the daily golden cross is actually very much in the midst of forming right here. We've got the green 55 and the purple 200 getting ever so close. They got their tongues in their mouth. They're about to kiss. And is anyone going to bust in at the last second and say, Carl, how good to see you? If you know where that's from, well, we probably had a similar childhood if that's the case. Anyways, looking at this right here, I do like what I see. I would be cognizant of any sort of a pullback alongside the next major moving average, one of the lower period major moving averages as this does happen. But in the shorter term timeframes, I do think that we get another push to the upside, probably around 9,550 to 9,600ish region, and then play out a pullback as everyone gets very, very bullish at the last prior weekly high, essentially. Classic area. I'm not saying that it's going to, completely reverse from there, but I do think that a low time frame consolidation, a low time frame local high will be put in there, and very likely a medium time frame local high as well. We are going to see momentum oscillators still charge their way upwards. I still like this on daily Stokes right here. Overall good, holding the bullish control zone and got plenty of room to go. More importantly, daily RSI looking nice and healthy here as well, resilient within this region in the bullish control zone, and more importantly, having a change of behavior and really giving you that first initial confirmation of a change of behavior back on over here during middle of what was this, January right here. Keep in mind that daily RSI has been essentially allergic to the bullish control zone and selling off it on all the failed pump attempts since essentially June, which, by the way, was this whole massive rally to the upside right around here. So it's by no mistake that you see that sort of signature there as price action kind of unfolds for the next half year essentially to the downside, using that area to sell off of. And what happens over here? Well, we get notified of a change of behavior because Bitcoin starts to get, the RSI starts to get resilient within this region rather than getting rejected from it. And to me, that is that is strength, that is good, that is powerful girthy green dildos as the boo laws take over once again. So yeah, as far as things go, in the lower time frames, like I did say, looking at this right here, if Bitcoin did break below this blue box territory at about 9180, let's be a little more conservative with it, perhaps 9150ish region, I would look for a move down, probably somewhere around the daily 200 simple. But like I said, and the daily 200 simple is that one that's currently kind of right around 8,900. But all of this is all of this is more like preparatory type stuff. I don't think that that's what's happening right here. I think that Bitcoin's going to try again higher. It's essentially what I'm looking at. I think it's got one more push higher, and they're probably going to start to see timeframes that start to that really matter turn down. 12-hour Stochs getting way up there, and these guys have been phenomenally consistent and just blindly trading them on the crosses with these settings over the over the history of Bitcoin. 12-hour RSI still looks healthy overall, although it will be building some divergence here, but I don't think that that's a death sentence, and I would imagine that somewhere on the daily, somewhere on the 12-hour we're going to see that next pullback on the medium time frames somewhere around either the 10 simple or the 21 exponential moving average, which are pretty much in the same area, and where they overlaid at 9,000 and 8,900 as it currently stands. So that would be essentially the daily 200 simple, and then also what would be akin to the gap on CMEs right here, which are trading at about a $150 price premium. So we do actually have a gap right here at about 9150ish region. So taking that price premium off, you could essentially align that with being around $9,000. So I do think that it's likely that after on the next pullback, Bitcoin probably does come back down to that base and then probably puts in a higher low there, which would be quite nice. More importantly, on CMEs, to kind of follow up on the last week of price action as we've been following this, we do get what the fuck can I even speak? I have actually quite big speech impediment, if you can't notice. It's quite embarrassing, but looking at the golden cross right here, playing out a couple days ago, getting confirmed, and yes, at some point, I do think, not at some point, I do think that Bitcoin probably tries again higher, and then we're going to come down and test and be what's considered a test of the golden cross on the daily for CMEs, which I do believe holds a lot more weight, and that's probably going to put us somewhere around the gap, give or take about $50, I would say. So that'd probably be the next area that I'd really be looking for. And then more importantly, we do see that momentum also just for the daily let's go to the daily right here. Basically daily and 12-hour for CMEs are almost the same, funnily enough. But more importantly, daily momentum also is getting getting a little bit up there quite a bit. Wow, again, great English, Krown. But what I've noticed about CME momentum also is that they actually operate a lot more like I'm used to seeing them in traditional markets when things are strong and trending. And I think that we're going to see the same thing happen with spot markets as well as Bitcoin gets more and more of a time horizon going. You typically do see things get stuck up there, so to speak, or like for lack of a better term there, especially on something like Stokes during these strong trending moves. And there's no such thing as overbought or oversold. I fucking love it when people on crypto Twitter say, "This looks overbought, I'm shorting," or "This looks oversold, RSI too low, bro, we're going up." It's like, what the fuck did I just hear? One of the first lessons that I ever learned in traditional markets from my mentor was there ain't no such thing as overbought and oversold. And if you trade like that, you will be washed out just like the retailers. And in this case right here, I look at this as a signal of strength rather than a signal of reversal. I think that we probably put in a local high relatively soon. Another couple $100 higher looks good to me. But as far as the macro goes, a lot of things are lining up for some pretty damn good signals. We do see, like I said, the golden cross on CMEs already getting confirmed, and then more importantly, this is happening at a pretty strong level above the 200 simple, above all these major moving averages essentially, which is going to have massive downwards implications. Because while I am waiting for that next weekly close above our last weekly high, which on spot would be about 95.50, I could also call continuation and call this as a confirmed uptrend if we just take out the last weekly high, which on spot is actually not that helpful because we have this massive green dildo wick from hell on October to 10.5. I do think that just looking at CME's chart, which again I think is just easier to read, is probably going to be good enough, and that's at $10,050. So if Bitcoin does tick back above there, even just surpassing that level on CMEs, I would be saying that generally the macro trend is going to be once again to the upside. We're going to see a weekly uptrend fully established, which right now I do think that it happens, as I've been saying for like the last month or so. It's just it's a technicality, right? It's a technicality. I want to see a weekly uptrend confirmed, as weekly reversals has been all of the major massive moves in Bitcoin since the eternity of eternity. But here's the thing, a lot of people are trying to make a corollary between this price action over here in 2018, right? Well, this is why I strongly believe that moving averages are very, 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 very useful, because you're going to get caught in the fucking everlasting fractal squirrel fucking discussion if you're just looking at that sort of bullshit. I shouldn't say bullshit, but mostly bullshit. Like I said, I don't know any professional trader who uses fractals or trades exclusively off of fractals. It's mostly something that I see perpetuated on crypto Twitter or crypto YouTube or crypto fucking whatever the fuck retailers, essentially, of which I technically am one right now. But my point is that a lot of people want to compare to this area right over here. I would say that we got a full on, and from a moving average perspective, it was very similar. To be fair, to give them their due credit, it was very similar. However, there has been a change of behavior. You can see that for the people looking at this price action running over here to kind of give you the same sort of governance, well, the difference is that all of the major moving averages are kind of unfucking themselves. Over here, you can see that they were all bearish, and Bitcoin, getting rejected by the white 200 simple, getting that negative slope the whole way through, was a very clear and obvious signal that the downtrend was not over. Over here, we're seeing everything, all the lower periods start to migrate above the higher periods. We're actually about to get a golden cross on the daily in maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days at most, but I think 2 days probably likely. And And we are well above the white 200 simple, which is losing its losing its negative slope as well as we speak. So to me, this looks very, very likely that the breakout is going to be real, that the breakout is going to be real, and that longer term this is going to be more or less healthy. But like I said, technically speaking, waiting for that weekly to reverse is kind of like the last of the last things that I've really been keeping an eye on. Of course, there are also momentum oscillators that suggest that we're already kind of there. Looking at weekly RSI for spot market, we do see that we are above the proverbial level that has essentially been holding in Bitcoin's both its bull markets and its bear markets in this blue box territory right here that you see between about 55 and 56. That is where Bitcoin likes to base off of in its bull market. So those are phenomenally well-timed dump buys, if you want to call it that, the bullish dumps, if you're familiar with that term. And by the same token, it's a phenomenal area to be a seller of when Bitcoin's essentially in its bear markets and its downtrends. So here, again, line this one up for yourself. Don't trust, verify, or whatever the fuck the saying is. But to me, this has gotten all the moves pretty much perfectly for the macro as well. Just as good, if not a little bit better, and a little bit more forwards than the weekly trend, waiting for reversals. So this one's technically in the midst of happening right now. We've technically not confirmed above the 55, 56 barrier right here. But I would say with any sort of a close above, especially like 9,200 by end of weekend, and we will see the CMEs close for the week tomorrow quite early. So I would be saying that keeping an eye on that as if it's anywhere above 9,200, we're very likely to see spot price action close for the weekly on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time above this region as well. So for right now, it's a little bit more of an idea, a little bit more of an ephemeral concept, but as time goes onwards and forwards, this becomes more and more real as the time to expiration becomes diminished, and that means that it becomes more and more likely that it actually closes above that region. More importantly, on top of that, we do see that the weekly is showing that we are well above that yellow 20 minus moving average, actually even using it to kind of base off of. And just from a historical standpoint, once again, Bitcoin loves to play off of that and bounce off it on its bullish dumps during its upwards marks, and by the same token, likes to sell off of it on its bearish on its bearish pumps during bear markets. And not only that, but we are seeing not only are we seeing Bitcoin opening and closing weekly totals above it, which is good enough as it is, but the yellow 21 exponential moving average also does have a positive slope, whereas you can see the fake outs that we've seen in the past during bear markets, the 21 never got a positive slope. It was negative the whole way down. There you fucking go. So I do think that, all these things considered, we very, very likely see the weekly trend reverse. And, it's the same thing that we've been saying for like the last month and a half now. Ever since 7,500 was broken to the upside right around here, that was, pivotal moment. Then going level by level, it just started to look better and better essentially. So for right now, we do see that weekly momentum oscillator is still pointed north. Actually, weekly Stoch's going to be getting above the bearish control zone by end of weekend, assuming that we close here or higher. Still got a little bit of time to go, but more importantly, that would be, again, another confirmed change of behavior. You do see that Bitcoin likes to play below the 40 marker during all of its long-term downtrends, essentially being basically most of 2018 right here, and more recently the second half of 2019 right here, and then, of course, the past prior history too. Anyways, what else do we want to talk about? Let's go back down to the lower term timeframes and let's go see. Let me just make sure that I'm actually recording. Okay, I am recording and my microphone's working. That's really good. Let's actually go back down to lower timeframes really quick and and put back on all these drawing tools and see how the ranges line up with the expected moves chart. So keeping this in mind, and I haven't looked at the expected moves chart at all today, but I would imagine that we probably see the top side of the first deviation somewhere between 9,550 to 9,600. Which is essentially why I'd be willing to call the next local top somewhere right around there. And the bottom side of the first deviation is probably going to be coming in somewhere right around 9,100 to 9,150, which is also CME gap, but we kind of didn't really feel that, to be fair. So let's go check it out. What do we see? Alrighty. We see that bottom side of the first deviation, 91.25, so literally right smack dab in the middle of that range, and top side of the first deviation coming in at 96.50, so perhaps a little bit higher. Maybe. Oh my god, did my brain just fucking break? Oh my god, man, I sound like such a goddamn moron when I started like that. I apologize. It must be really, really annoying. It's really annoying for me to do, so I imagine it's probably even more annoying to listen to. But yeah, looking at this right here, doesn't mean that we get like a green dildo wick to hell or heaven, I suppose, in this point, or at this price point. show the upside there. Yeah, maybe. Maybe extend this range a little bit more instead of like 9,600. Maybe make it a $100 range from 9,550 to 9,650ish region. Something like that looks fine, but overall, I would be looking for resistance there, not just from a structural standpoint, but from a macro standpoint, coming in from the last weekly prior high on a closing basis. So going to be a natural area for a lot of bots and algos to be selling. I'm sure that if we put a Fibonacci retracement on this as well, it's probably going to have something massive there. I'll briefly do it right here. Let me actually pull up a fresh chart really quick, and let me just delete everything right there. There we go. Get them out of my face, and let's do a bearish retracement on this one. 382 is kind of where we're looming at right now. Let's see, what if we use bodies? Bodies would show the 0.5 right around 97.64. Or sorry, are we using bodies on the bottom side here too? Yeah, somewhere right around there. Looking about right. And if it's doing it like that, then it probably should be about the same right around here. Indeed, actually, we do see the 618 currently where we are right now. This plan's kind of to start us up this current region, and same sort of thing going on right here as well. Anyways, okay, cool. So what else do we want to talk about while we're here? Let's go over to CMEs and see how they are doing on the lower time on the lower time frames. And also, I do think that it's relevant to be speaking about this as well. I've completely lost this one in the back of my in the back of my mind. I very rarely mention this, but the falling channel that spot markets and CMEs were kind of living in was broken to the upside. And technically speaking, there is a target much higher on CMEs. This would be around 11,000-ish region. Create a nice little region right here. We could actually mark this area off quite well. Well, damn, there's so much actually to be aware of right here. In fact, but it would imply a target almost to 11,000, which I would imagine puts spot price action around 10.5 if I had to guess. So let's go check it out, see what it looks like right on over here as well. I would be using bodies for this one in this case, as they just seem to get price action a little bit better. And what do we have? Something like this, not going to be perfectly drawn, doesn't need to be. Something like this going on right on over here. I want to be a little bit more conservative with this. And what kind of a target would it suggest? It would actually suggest 11.5 region. Fair enough. Now, if I do use wicks, how much would it be? What's it called? Suggesting at this point, this is a little bit more of a falling wedge, in fact. And what do we see here? We do see it would imply a target of 10,000. Interesting. Very interesting. So maybe Bitcoin does get one of those nasty wicks to 10,000. I'm curious where the other rings are coming in around. Yes, we do see the second deviation coming in right around a little bit above 9,900ish region. So it would be quite unlikely. It would be less than a 2.5% chance to actually happen above 9,900. To that $10,000 region today. So I don't think that that's what's happening. If something like that happens, we probably get it, maybe over the weekend. Maybe something like that. Anyways, to the downside, let's kind of judge where these levels are coming in around here as well. So the big ones that I want to be aware of to the downside is essentially where the 200 simple is. And I'm curious if we can get anything from that. That's essentially where the second standard deviation is to the downside. So it's less than a 2.5% chance that we actually go back down below there. And I would feel quite confident in saying that, I would be more or less medium-term bullish on Bitcoin, which can obviously have those massive downwards implications for the high and macro timeframes. As long as we're closing daily totals above the white 200 simple right here at about essentially 8,900, which today to actually break to the downside would be less than negative 2.5% chance. So I don't think that that's what we're doing today. I think that Bitcoin probably actually tries a little bit higher and then sets in a higher low somewhere between the 200 simple and wherever the 10 simple is at that time. But that's still well and far away. I feel like Bitcoin's still trending here, so can't really be judging local highs just yet. And on top of that, I see a lot of this going on around. Like we were talking about earlier, there is bearish divergence present on a 4 hour. Is it present on the 6 hour? No, it's not really present on 6 hour. If you're talking about this point all the way over here, that's too fucking long ago to really compare it to, especially if you're using a 14 period on your RSI, which is default. So most people probably are using that. But more importantly, for that fact, I wouldn't look for a 4-hour signal, especially like just 2 drives of a 4-hour signal when the higher time frames are taking over. This is something that I think a lot of people get kind of caught up in, myself included, when I first started, and even well into my career actually as well. But at the end of the day, when things are trading on the higher time frames, you can't trust like the smallest signal of your momentum oscillators on the lower time frames. Go with the fucking trend, and going level by levels is the best way that I've found to kind of keep myself unfact. So yeah. Anyways, if Bitcoin were to break down below that 8,900 barrier, I would look for a move down if Bitcoin were to break below this 9150-ish barrier right here, also the 4-hour 21 exponential moving average, whichever one happens first, on any sort of a closure, even like a 2-hour, I would look for a move to test around 8,900, but I do think that Bitcoin would likely put a higher low in there. And like I said, it's not what I think is going on here. I think that Bitcoin's going to get another try higher and then probably confirm a local high, and then we'll come down, scare everyone, and set in a higher low somewhere between like 8,900 and 9150-ish region is where I kind of be looking for. But that's well and far away. I mean, still, like, we're going to be doing these videos each and every day, so that could very easily change depending upon how much this next move gets, or if it doesn't get anything at all, then we might have something new to consider. Anyways, always possibility. Anyways, okay, cool. So what else do we want to look at? I haven't even really looked at the lower time frame Stokes here. We are going to see 4-hour Stokes probably cross back up to the upside on this next tick. We got 3-hour Stokes doing the same thing. Bi-hourly, not necessarily in the same posturing, and hourly going up. So I do think that that's probably enough momentum to get another drive higher, but they are pretty damn tired in those regions. And by that point, you're going to see like third drives of divergences being put in on the medium time frames, and probably 2 drives of divergence being put in on like a 12-hour, perhaps, of which I'll check in right now. Yeah, we likely will be building divergence on 12-hour as well. But as far as the trend goes, looks good to me. So I would actually be looking to buy that next pullback. Anyways, of course, not finished invest. I'm not a finished advisor. Anyways, okay, cool. Let's go see how GBTC did for the day yesterday. And where's my GBTC? 10.9, very strong closure. Wow, powerful. We're gonna get the daily closing above the white 200 simple. I really like that, and I do think that this is good for continuation. Probably does come back down and retest this region at some point, but next major resistance right around 11.7, so I would be looking for a move likely there. Daily Stokes on a fresh cross the upside, very, very nice, defending the bullish control zone as well. Liking what I'm seeing there. Anyways, let's go check out, what else do we want to check out? Let's go check out gold. Gold being resilient, as we spoke about, nicely done. Another higher low right here. It's been saying I'm more or less bullish on this, and it looks like it's knocking on the door once again. I do think that this one eventually takes its resistance out and finds its way into the blue box territory above between 1610 and 1630-ish region. Daily Stokes having a fresh cross the upside, very, very nice, rejecting the bearish control zone. I like that. Daily RSI looks healthy, looks nice, and I think good. A lot of people very bearish on this. I think that that's a good sign that this is actually just stair-stepping its way upwards and onwards. Looks fine to me, actually. It looks quite strong. I would not be bearish on gold especially as long as it's above this prior low right here, right around 1545 on a closing basis. Now, if it does lose that level, yes, we can talk about a move all the way back down to 1500 low and probably lower than that. But I don't think that that's what's going on there. I think it's kind of similar to Bitcoin in that they're stair-stepping up right now. Anyways, let's go check out dollar yen, see how he's doing. Dollar yen coming down still, and I do still think that we hit this 108.5 target. Alongside this rising channel, just kind of happening slowly, but yes, I do think that it's still going to be coming down here. Not looking all that healthy in the short term, but I do expect a bounce on this region. Not that expectations are anything that should be in a trader's vocabulary. Pound yen kind of losing it as well, as you'd expect. This right here, I would have gotten massively faked out on this one if I was actually trading this. This would have been a great loss for myself. And the reason why is because this is a swing failure pattern, and a swing failure pattern is, well, it's exactly what it implies. You get the breakout above this horizontal right here, and then it gets faded immediately, and then runs the other way quite significantly. And I do think that this is going to be very indicative that this asset will be heading further down longer term. That is a nasty hunt right there, in the beautiful ways that pound pound yen likes to play out hunts, which is just it's a shit coin of forex world. And I do think that we're probably going to find it down around 139 and a half, a little bit more medium term, and longer term probably down around like 138 region. This is looking like another lower high to me, longer macro. So I really don't like that. And with the monthly kind of closing in, one day, tomorrow, we can see that likely going to be rejection of the 21. Although that could change. There's still a lot of time to go. Monthly for gold, by the way, looking good. And actually, we didn't even look at the monthly for Bitcoin, but again, just kind of fleshing out those ideas a little bit more. Any sort of a monthly close above the red 10 simple at about 85.50ish region, more or less good long term, especially if it can close above this little breakdown point from October, November of 2019, which would be anywhere above about $9,000. That starts to look really, really good for the long term, and I would be looking for a move back up into the 5 digits, 10.5 to 11,000, essentially in line with the measured move off of the falling channel from Bitcoin that we saw earlier. So I like what I see there. Also, monthly RSI, very resilient, rejecting the neutral zone back above the exponential. That is very good as well, especially if it can confirm above there. And I'd imagine that the monthly Stokes are going to start to curl back around with that next tick, which we'll have to watch that one on Saturday when we actually get that next tick. But I would imagine that it probably does actually curl back around, assuming that we do close, especially above 9,000. So that is a big level from the monthly perspective, and probably does give Bitcoin a nice run to the prior high on a monthly basis, on a monthly closing basis, I should say around 10.5, maybe even 11,000, somewhere in that region. Anyways, okay, cool. So we looked at all of that. Do we want to? There's one other forex pair I want to look at. What is it? Euro dollar. That's right. Euro dollar at 110. I do still think that this one has lower to go, but probably bounces in this region. We hit our target at 110 even, probably going to bounce back up, maybe test around like 110 and a half, 110.7 region. However, I do think that longer term, the weekly, it looks absolutely atrocious here. So as long as it's below like 110.9 or just 111 if you want to round up there, more or less bearish. But for right now, I do think that it's going to bounce up. So I wouldn't be like too damn bearish at this exact moment. But monthly is looking bad. Monthly momentum also is turning back down here, rejecting the bullish control zone. Weekly RSI is very bearish, very, very nasty. And the monthly looks even worse. Well, it looks pretty bad. I don't know if it looks worse, but it looks bad. Anyways, go check out some of the top shitcoins here. Highly technologically advanced altcoins. What do we see on Mr. Beaterall? Mr. Beaterall is going to give a test to the 200 simple. Looks like it's going to have a chance to actually close above it today. I'd imagine it probably does, in line with Bitcoin. Bitcoin setting the pace, and then altcoins running up to the general essentially. And I would be looking for, if that does confirm, I would be looking for a move up to around 185 to 190ish region up here, depending upon how Bitcoin kind of reacts in that region. Looking at Mrs. Litecoin, it's very, very similar chart. Gonna have a chance to close above the 200 simple as well. Hey, computer, don't do that. Sorry, my computer's trying to go to sleep. Hey, how dare you? How dare you, fuck? And it's like no rest for the computers. And I would be looking for another move back up to wherever I have this alert at, which is about $64. Again, whatever Bitcoin does, these ones are most likely to mirror, but looking to me like they are kind of having some strength, some signatures of strength here. We're seeing daily Stokes cross back up to the upside as Litecoin approaches a major resistance. So, and not only that, but we see the RSI being very resilient as well, kind of in that same signature that we see on Bitcoin spot. Actually even a little bit more pronounced too, which is quite interesting. Anyways, we haven't checked out traditional markets just yet. What about SPY? SPY, wow, it traded even higher yesterday. Okay, so I was certainly wrong about SPY yesterday, but I still think that I'm going to be right about the eventual target here. I do think that it will be coming down to about 325, 324 and a half region, somewhere down around here. This just looks like another lower high to me. I mean, it basically just traded sideways yesterday and then started that downwards move. So I do still feel that that's likely to happen here. We're going to see momentum also just turn down, and well, I do think that we ultimately have more low to go here. So short term, probably 325 to 324 and a half, and then maybe a little bit more medium term, I'd be looking at a legitimate bounce somewhere around like 320, and then come back and reassess after that. I just got reminded by myself that I haven't even looked at historical volatility percentile on Bitcoin here, and we'll be looked at the expected moves chart, but not necessarily the same thing, although it is based off the same sort of mathematics, I suppose. We do see that hourly is starting to contract here, so I would be expecting that when this does start to get a little bit lower, maybe down into the teens, we probably do see this next move give a go, give a try. And as far as this next move goes, I'm curious how are like our other lower time frames looking like here. We see 2 hour very much contracted as well, so telling us that the consolidation is nearing an end. We're getting ready for a move here again. I think that we do see a move today to one of the blue box territories, whether it be to the upside or the downside. My personal opinion is that we do hit the upside one here and probably put in a local top and then come down. 4 hours cooling off a little bit, but the hourly is the one that gets the best, really, and that's looking like it's still contracting a little bit. So maybe around, if we could draw a nice trend line here, maybe somewhere around this time, which we are on the 30th day. This would actually suggest around midday for myself, somewhere between like midday and end of day for myself. So if you're in the Western Hemisphere, that'll be like, early in the morning to midday, most likely, sometime around the daily doodle close. Perhaps we should get this. We should get this next move. Most likely get this next move, which is going to be about a $200-$300 move from this price point. So very much tradable. Anyways, I think it's time for me to start to wrap this bitch up and. To kind of wrap this up, right now Bitcoin just trading sideways, consolidating. I'd call this a descending broadening wedge, which you can also call it a bull flag as well. It's basically the same thing. But I would be looking for a more conservative target to be hit somewhere right around 9550 to 9600ish region. Now, if we do get a daily closing above this blue box territory right here at about 96, especially 9650, I would look for the next leg up to test 10,000. Actually, a nice round number. And that would look, it would actually be more like 10.2. I'm going to mark this area off. This is actually worth marking off, because if things do get crazy today, if things do get crazy to kind of end the week, this is where I'd actually expect it to kind of test around. I still kind of stick with what I've been saying earlier, though. I think that we're going to put in a low time frame top right here, and then trade a little bit back down and put in a what's called a higher low on one of the on like the 12-hour daily or something like that. But I could very easily be wrong about that. If Bitcoin does completely blast through this area, I would look for a move actually above 10, 10.1 to 10 to 10.2 region. It's going to be your next major area to be aware of. Well, or should I be more conservative with that and say 10 even to 10.1? Going back to that expected moves chart, it seems pretty fucking unlikely that we do hit above 10.2 today. That would literally be less than a oh God, not 0.3% chance, but half of that, even less. Very, 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 very low. A percentage chance. So yeah, probably doesn't happen today. I'd stick more with this area right here. It's more in line with the probabilities. Anyways, as far as that goes. I would not be looking for any sort of a low time frame divergence play to be played out, as long as Bitcoin's closing 2-hour dildos, especially above 9150. Now, if 9150 does get taken out to the downside, does get confirmed below, I would look for things to actually come all the way back down over the next couple days, or maybe sooner rather than later, down to the 8900 level and test the daily 200 simple. And I'd be looking for another low to be put in there. Very, 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 very strong chance for a scalp bounce. Probably even a higher low being put in right here as well. And I'm not bearish on Bitcoin medium, and it's still kind of a technicality, but kind of long term as well, as long as we're above that 8900 pivot. So yeah, to kind of wrap it up, I think that we get another test higher here, and then probably put in a local high somewhere around 9550, 9600. Probably come back down after that. If 9600 gets blasted right through, I'd look for a move into the 5 digits. It's going to be a fucking liquidation party, baby. And by the same token, to the downside, 9150, if you want to call it that. Even 9200 is probably good enough. Any sort of a 2-hour dildo close below there. And yes, I would look for a move back down to 8900, 8950 base, and probably another higher low to be put in there. And now if that area gets shattered, then we probably got a whole massive major fake out to be had, and well, Bear is back in control once again. Anyways, that's going to do it for right now. I want to wish everyone well on this nice little Thursday. Like I said, I'll be back on Twitch later tonight, and until next time, take care and see ya.